Oh, God.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Heidi, do you want me to go ahead and just get started, or Marcella, do you want to kick us off real quick?
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna just put myself on the camera so the teachers can see me, and if there's any principals, welcome. This is Mentoring Minds. We are so grateful that you've given us the opportunity to show you what we have to offer as you navigate through these very challenging times. And we thank you and appreciate you. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce, like as Heidi introduced herself, she's my support at the Tyler office. And Stephen is an amazing colleague, presenter, very talented, and he will lead us through ThinkUp online, so you can see the features and all the little details you may need to know to pass the information forward to your principals and your administrative team. So Stephen, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to show my face. You see I'm a real person here. But when I share my screen, I'm going to take my camera off. So I'm going to go ahead and move that off right now. Elsa invited us to this session because she wanted us to make sure that we were able to spread the word among all of the schools and campuses that the Mentoring Minds ThinkUp content that is being widely used for the ELAR as well as other subject areas is available in an online format, given that we're going through this experience of COVID-19, and now we're coming to the back to school timeframe, and we're looking at families that are having choices to either keep their children home full-time through the remote learning, or to have an alternating schedule of face-to-face instruction. And either way, the need to bring technology into the classroom is going to be very, very important. So right now I am sharing my screen, so if I can just get an acknowledgement that it's viewable on y'all's end, that would be great.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So I am currently logged into our online platform where you would access the ThinkUp content. And what's really important to know about the online access for your ThinkUp materials is that the platform it's housed in offers you a great deal of other capabilities that you'll be able to take advantage of because it comes with the ThinkUp online purchase. So a couple of things here. So in the dashboard, these white boxes are customizable. So there is a list of what they call widgets that you could have set up for your home page when you log in, depending on what your specific needs are, right? Knowing that we've got a mixed group in the audience from classroom teachers, campus coaches to campus administrators, you may want to have access to some different things when you first log in. So those are customizable, and we were able to help you get those set up when we get you into the system. But you'll notice across the top here from the navigation, you've got your rostering section. We do have the ability to connect to the HISD's student information system so that rostering can be done automatic and managed and maintained, where you don't have to worry about getting yourself and your classes loaded up into the system. We also do support with our rostering single sign-on capabilities. So if you guys are currently using a single sign-on system, we can integrate with that as well so that we can make sure that your student and your own user experience is simplified as possible. I do want to make mention that because we do have a large group on the call here that Heidi and Marcella are going to be monitoring chat. So if you do have a question, they will pause me and read the question to me so it can get answered. So if you do have any specific questions that are coming up as I'm demoing, please feel free to write into the chat, and then they will stop me when it's appropriate to answer those questions. All right, so rostering, it can also be done manual if there was ever a need for you to upload or you want to go in and change and group students together. It's a very easy process to pair off students or build learning teams within the system. The performance section, so I know that you guys have access to a lot of data currently through other assessment systems and tools that are available through HISD and even through your individual campuses. But with the ThinkUp, when the students do complete the work online, or if you have them complete the materials through their printed materials, students can still log in and transfer their responses, which will then give you access to some detailed reports so that you can really understand where the students are in their overall progress including standards mastery. So we'll be able to take a look at teak by teak with each individual student and see where they are on their mastery of the skills to help you as you think about your reteaching and enrichment strategies in the classroom. Over here under the assessment section, so even though
Stephen,
yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have a comment. If you can maybe slow down a little bit. You're speaking a little too fast.
absolutely, not a problem.
Thank you.
So in the assessment section here, even though our assessments are embedded within the ThinkUp, we as a company do offer other assessments, but this section of the platform does offer you some great capabilities that will allow you to enhance and augment what you're doing in the classroom with ThinkUp or with other content. So we have this question manager piece, and this question manager piece allows you to author and create your own items that you might want to assign out as additional practice. You want to extend on what we've offered through the ThinkUp content. You may have some questions or items that you guys have already created in the past that you like and you want to use, and maybe they're currently just in a Word or a PDF document format. And you can either upload that document into the system and then simply assign it out, or attach it and include it with the ThinkUp assignments, or you can convert that content into an online digital format where you can assign it via the platform. Students, when they log into their ThinkUp, can also log into those items and access and complete their responses and submit their work. And then you have the ability, when you create it and upload it into the system, to map it to the specific TEAC that it was being created for. So you can map it to your whatever grade level you're teaching and that is from, the TEAC that it's sourced from. And then that way the system will know how to treat it when it comes to grading and reporting. So it really gives you some really good access. So creating the content is actually very simple. You'll see you've got a very easy step-by-step process. And once I launched into the question manager, it opened it up as a separate tab. You'll see that within the platform, it serves kind of like its own browser. So as you launch new content, open up different sections, it's going to keep it open for you so you can navigate back and forth very simply from one section to another. So
Stephen,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. If we can enlarge it to make it a little visible, a little more clear to see, please.
Okay, there's not a lot of enlarging capability here other than moving the taskbar up at the top at the moment. I know through these Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, it shrinks what is on our screen and image, but you can drag and enlarge your window, but it will cause you to lose some of the visibility and have to scroll around. But it's different when we get into the student view and when the students are logged in, and when we're in the actual ThinkUp content, you'll see how that functions as well. But I just wanted to quickly highlight the fact that you can bring in other content that you guys already are using, upload it and store it within the platform, and then assign it out with the work. That also allows you to bring in multimedia. So you can embed video, audio files, embed stories, whatever you want to source and include. You can simply add that resource to the system, and then you can curate your content based off of different response types that you want students to do. So for ELAR, you may be creating a lot of open response practice items you want to work with, so you can select an essay. This will allow you also to take the rubric that you guys use from grading. We can upload that rubric into the platform, and then you can attach that rubric to these items so that when you go in to the online system to grade, that rubric is right there ready for you to assist in those grading. But you'll see that we have lots of different response choices. In my current demo account, I don't have all of them listed. There are more technology enhanced item selections that you can pick from that might include drag and drop and things of that nature. So those would be in the live account, and we'll be rolling out more of those as we continue to develop the platform. And then ultimately, you can address what accommodations is the content supporting if you authored it to help out with students that are 504, or you have certain students that are in inclusion from special needs. You can identify that and make sure that the documentation is associated with the system. And then you can also categorize the content based on whether you're using Bloom's depth of knowledge or Webb's depth of knowledge or Bloom's taxonomy, and then determine what level of difficulty is the item. And then you can simply save the question into the system, which then will allow you later to access and assign that content. I'm going to bring my taskbar back in just so I can navigate, and I'll go back and forth in the hopes that that does help with the visibility. But if you've authored and loaded up various items into the system and you want to assign it out as its own assignment, you just simply go into the test manager, and this is where it says create new test. And then this is simply where it's going to allow you to access those items. It's going to take you into that repository of where what you uploaded is stored, and then allow you to attach it and assign it out to the students. So again, you can see it's, step-by-step process. You've got a bar across the top here. I'm just going to go ahead and enlarge it so better visibility. That lets you track where you are in the building process. You're able to bring in specific definitions and descriptors to help you in the sourcing of the content. But it's a very quick process. And since we have limited time, I don't want to waste going through and just grabbing and assigning out content. When we go into more detailed trainings, we're able to do that and make sure you're fully aware. So the ThinkUp materials is going to be stored under the curriculum section here. So into there, this is a part of instructional
Sorry,
strategy,
Stephen,
which
you were
is
cutting off first.
yes. Can you
I'm
hear me
sorry.
okay now?
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there may be some internet issues that are coming into play here. There's a teacher lesson planning tool that's embedded that you can leverage as well. You can, not just limited to the ThinkUp, but you could use this to be your online lesson planning tool to organize your content. And then, of course, we can launch into the ThinkUp resources. I do want to make sure you understand that in the online, it is mirrored content to what's in the print. But what may be different is how the student interacts with the item based on leveraging technology enhanced items, to where in the book, maybe you were drawing a line, but in the online, it might be a drag and drop or something of that nature. But when you move into your ThinkUp content here, you'll notice on just your splash page, it allows you, if you have multiple subject areas that you're teaching from of ThinkUp, so then you can select the content that you're working with. And then depending on what grade level you're in, that will typically default automatically for you. Unless you're in special needs and you're working with multiple grade levels, then you would have to source and check. And just like in the print for our grades 1 through 5, it's available in Spanish in the online. So you are able to quickly toggle back and forth in between the languages that you have licensed into. So once you've selected the content that you're going to show, it's simply going to open up and default to the first unit. And then just like in the printed materials, you go to the unit that you want to teach from, because it's going to align to where you are in your scope and sequence. And then once you expand on it, it'll open up the nav bar for the items, and it follows the exact same headers and listing as your print version. Now, I apologize as I keep referencing in your print, there may be many of you that are on this call that have not taught the ThinkUp content, and this is your first exposure to it. So I'll try to highlight some of the key pieces there for those of you that have never seen this before, without being too redundant for those that are very familiar with the content. But you'll notice it has your getting started, instruction, assessment, intervention, and extension. And then this assign piece is different from the print in that we organize everything that you can assign to the student in one section here so that you can very quickly view it. And then if it's something that you want to assign, you can simply release that assignment to the students so that when they log in, they can complete the work. You'll notice that all the accommodations and tools are available for students within the system. So this is like what the students will see when they log in. I'll log in as a student here in a moment so you can see that full experience. But we do have embedded text to speech. And then, of course, all the tools that you would do with print, where you're going to highlight, strike through, underline, and so forth, are available as well. One of the things that I really like that's also available here is in the online, you're able to help accommodate for those students that are dyslexic and those students that are on the spectrum of autism, in the sense that they can self-select the contrast of their background and their words and highlighting. Because as you may be aware, students with severe dyslexia on a black letters white page, they seem to lift off and float. But if they're able to change the contrast, this will help them to focus a bit longer and help mitigate some of those challenges, as is the same for some of the students that are dealing with autism. Their focus is enhanced when they have these contrast options. So being able to choose for themselves is nice. And then, of course, with your visually impaired children, the ability to simply magnify the page for them as they're working with the content is there for them to work with as well. And highlight the text-to-speech when we log in as a student. But I just wanted to share with you that all of the assignable pages in the student materials are right here and can be released. But what's also nice is you have the ability to have a side-by-side view and work with both everything that's in the student materials along with everything that you have in your teacher's edition. So this does support in the event that if you wanted to go 100% paperless, you have access to your entire TE and access to everything that's in the student edition via the online for yourself here. When it comes to modeling in the classroom, you have the ability to bring up the student resources and pages. You'll see here you have your multi-view. You can change that to a single view, which will then simply eliminate the teacher's page, move to the student, and you can simply reduce the size of the screen and enlarge the image so that now if you're on your smartboard or using a projector system from your computer or in a Zoom class meeting and doing a shared screen, you can go in and model the instruction with the students via there. Now, what will be nice for you as a teacher in a non-demo account, this will be set up to where all the tools are on so that you could use the text-to-speech if you needed to. If this happened to be a math class, you needed the calculators or whatever. But those tools are going to be available, as well as we're looking at adding other enhanced items for modeling and in classroom instruction that will be released throughout the school year. So what's really nice with the online is we are constantly looking at ways to enhance and improve the way that you can interact and serve up content to children. And then we simply update those and push them out and give you the alerts and then little training videos and things that go along as well. So in this example here, I am in a pre-assessment. So every single unit does offer a pre-assessment. In ELAR, it will focus in on the focus TEK of that unit so that you can really assess as to where the student's preparedness is or whether you need to think about going back to supporting instruction and to catch them up. The pre-assessments are typically 4 to 5 questions. It's going to be 3 to 4 selected response with always an open response item at the end. Excuse me. So that you can get a good gauge of where they fall on their skill sets. When you're done with doing your displaying and you want to just get back to your view, you can change it to single view or back to multi-view. So that's going to bring back the teacher edition into play. And then if I simply want to eliminate the student page, I can go back to single view and expand on the next page for the teacher. There's just a variety of ways to navigate in the system. But the sidebar is always where you're going to navigate through your table of contents and into your instructional content. So for those of you that are familiar, you'll know that the Getting Started section is where you're able to go into your background information about clarifying the TEKs. We always make sure that your content is going to serve up exactly where you're taking the students in the learning process, but also ensuring that we're identifying where the students need to be coming up through the previous instruction. So we break that clarification of the standards down, as well as we provide a good teacher-to-teacher tip, maybe suggested graphic organizers or a type of activity that really reinforces this particular skill or concept is also provided there. And then just to highlight real quickly, one of the main things that the ThinkUp content really does to stand out from other instructional content is not only do we make sure that the rigor is 100% in alignment with the student expectation statement as defined through A and by the TEK, but we also bring in the critical thinking elements to where you as a teacher can instruct students on not only what they're supposed to be thinking about, but how they go about understanding the content and building their ability to be more stronger and independent thinkers. We really want to make sure that we're building skillful thinkers so that they are going to be able to have success as they move through the instruction. And then we also make sure that each of the sections of instruction provides you with guidance as to recommendation for how long and for how the grouping should be. So in certain situations, the content is designed for whole class. In other situations, it's better done in pairs or small groups. We make sure that that information is available to you right there. And then we give you a detailed breakdown of what we're going to focus in on the cognitive process through the critical thinking traits that are going to be highlighted throughout the instruction. As we get into the instructional content, you've got all the same tools, but what we do is we serve it up for you in smaller chunks so that it's not just a PDF view of the page. but to where you're able to go in and choose what section of instruction are we working with. And then especially if I'm going to be displaying any of this in the classroom, I'm able to make sure that I'm focusing the students' attention onto the content that we're going to work with. So all of that instructional flow is available. All your intervention activities and resources are all laid out. So you'll see that navigation is simple and forward. But what's really critical is when it comes to the student resources and then the ability to add multimedia and other resources that when you assign the work for the students that they can log in and complete. So I'm going to move over real quick to student view and let you get a sense of what the end user experience for the child will be in the classroom or working remotely from home. So when the student enters into their single sign-on, they'll click on their Mentoring Minds tile. It'll open up to the student center, and then the student will have the ability to access any data on how their performance is. And this is great because your parents of your students will be able to access this information as well. And before parent-teacher conferencing sessions, they'll have the opportunity to look at the data and then have a discussion with you around what they can do to help best support the needs of their student and their child. So the curriculum section and the My Assignments sections is two different ways to access the content. The reason why the My Assignments piece is here is if you authored those items that we discussed at the beginning, then when you release it, this is where the student would go to access that content. But when you release any of your ThinkUp materials, they can access it here as well. So this just gives you a complete listing of anything that has been assigned for the students to work with. And then all they have to do is click on and select the content that they're been directed to work from or that you're going to display. So like here's that ELAR pre-assessment. So if I simply click on that and launch, it will take me into the student assignment. And then you'll see that all of the accommodations are turned on currently. And so with the text to speech, the student does have the ability to control the speed. So there is a setting section that's in place. It will open up and allow them to, go from a slower speed. It defaults to medium. They can speed it up faster if they feel like they can pace and follow along better. They can change how it highlights and augments the words as it's being read, and then change to whether they click to launch it or hover over to read it. So they can kind of use the cursor to follow along and drive the reading of that. Didn't change anything there, so I'm just going to take it off. The strike through, underlying, all those capabilities are here. Students can flag to let you know that they were confused about this assignment so that you'll see any item that was flagged when you're in your grading and to see how and to grade any open items or to see how they scored on the selected response and short answer response. The students can click through to navigate or click next. But ultimately, when they finish their work, they submit, and then it's going to let them know whether they have any items flagged or whether they have not completed answers and they can return, or they can simply say, I'm going to add a comment because I'm confused, I'm lost, I need help, and then they'll submit it. And what's great about this is, and I'm going to return the test and pause it because I want to keep this in my bank here. Student can pause and exit out and or resume their assignment at any time. So that way, if the bell rings or fire drill or something, they're not going to lose the work they've done. They will be very easily able to step away and then return quickly back into the instruction. But the other thing that's nice to see is that we have the ability to bring in multimedia with the assignments. And so if we were to want to bring in an audio file or a video file, you're able to go in, and when the student logs in, the first thing that'll open up is the instructions that you're giving them. And then if you embedded the little video or audio file, that would be right here. They can launch into it, listen to instructions, watch the video, get that instructional support, close out of it, and then go into the event. And so in this particular illustration, the curator of the content grabbed a Khan Academy video and dropped it into the assignment so the student can actually watch that video and then complete work within their essay item. So it allows you to become very creative and supportive with the instruction that you develop and provide to the students. I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions that are in there right now, because I know we're approaching that 30-minute mark where some of you are going to have to dump off. So I want to make sure you have the ability to have questions answered before you leave.
Thank you, Stephen. We've had a couple of questions come through via chat around Hub, Clever Access, pricing and training and things like that. I don't know if anyone else would like to remove themselves off of mute or add another question, if there's anything I missed.
Okay, so I'll address the questions that you just kind of posted up there. So we are Clever certified. So we are able to integrate and link up through that. So I know you have a using that for rostering and I believe for your single sign-on currently. And so yes, we are 100% certified with them, and we'll very easily get you set up for your single sign-on and SIS information. From a pricing standpoint, what I highlight for you is if you guys haven't purchased it yet for your campus or your classroom, you have an option. You can purchase it 100% online, 100% only, or a bundle of print and online. And so it's a nicely discounted bundle rate. If you've already have your print materials ordered for you and you want your campus to add the online, it's simply an add-on of about $3 to $4 per student to be able to get them licensed in, and then you'll have access to your TE and everything via online. One thing that's also important to note with the online purchases is that if your campus or district has purchased, first grade through fifth grade, or whether you're a middle school campus involved in here in 6th, 7th, and 8th, you as a teacher, when you complete an assignment and there's students that are struggling or seem to be pulling ahead, you'll be able to have access to the other grade level content to assign, so you can do reteach interventions or extension activities for those students that are operating at an advanced level. So that's one of the nice things is you get access to all that content in the online format that you may not be able to leverage from just the print only. So from an actual dollar standpoint, it varies based on volume of orders. So if you need a quote for your particular campus, Heidi and Marcella can easily do that and make sure they have your email, and then they can reach out to you and get numbers of students and things of that nature to work up quotes. Any other questions pop in while we address that?
No, I don't see nothing else has come through.
Okay, great.
I did share a link to our sample vault. If you click on that link and enter that password, you will be able to see a complete student and teacher edition for all grade levels and subjects. Also, additional educator resources are listed there, like our TEKS Mastery flip chart and wheels. And I also included a link to our HB3 ThinkUp ELAR alignment and how we support those needs there.
Very good, Heidi. And yes, so for those of you that do teach at that first, second grade level where phonics is very important, our content does address those phonics TEKS within from grades 1 through 5. But it's not a phonics-based instruction, but it does address those phonics skills, and is very supportive of that initiative. Real quickly, I just went back to the teacher login to the main dashboard, and I just want to take you into your classroom roster so that when your students are listed and loaded within here, basically your grade book for ThinkUp is going to be viewable here. Any assignment that you have assigned will populate across the top line here. So day 1, if you haven't assigned anything, it'll simply be this half and all of this will be blank. But then as you release and assign any assignments out, that drops in, and then you can see the scoring, color coding, and where they fall on the overall assignment. And then this is where you would go in and grade any of those open response items. So if I were to go into, I'm just going to go into one here. I probably don't have anything submitted. But when you click on the assignment, this takes you into your assignment manager, which then allows you to access reports. So you have your standards mastery report, which will be found in these one-touch reports, where it'll give you the breakdown of each student and where they are TEK by TEK. You'll also have the ability to view the reteach and enrich reports. And this is where you would access those other grade levels. So after an assignment's been completed and you have data to drive as to where you need to go and take the students, then it will allow you to access those other grade levels. So right now, this format is set up because I'm not live and connected to ThinkUp. with regards to assignments, but it will group your students together based off of where they're falling against the skills within that assignment. So there will be an overall ranking and groups of students based off of those who, are 0 to 25%, whatever those performance bands are. You'll be able to group your kiddos together based on strugglers and those who are advanced, and then immediately also launch into an access content under the resources section that might be because this student is in 3rd grade and they're performing, in the red. Do you want to go back to a 2nd grade content to work? So you would be able to access that through here and launch into it very quickly, as well as for those students that are grouped together in the advanced, it may suggest, would you like to go to 5th grade content to practice on some activities there to keep them on their growth path? So this is evolving right now, and we'll continue to bring additional tools to help you support based off of student need. That's one of the another advantages that the online does offer you. And then the other piece that this gives you is the ability to view any of those comments that the student submitted to you. So if they submitted the work and added a comment, you'll see that there is a little comment icon right here. So on any of those assignments that a student submitted with comments, you can go in and view it right there, or go into the assignment itself so you can see, the multiple reports. And then this will allow you also to go in and unsubmit an assignment to any individual student that maybe gave you those comments, so that you can go back, do a reteach with them, and then have them go back and redo the work so that you can take the better grade for them. So you would simply just unsubmit the assignment, pick the student that you want to unsubmit it from, apply it, and then you can reassign it back to them so they can take it a 2nd time after you've done your reteach, so that they can have an improved score. Otherwise, you could keep that first score in there, go back in and reassign that assignment to that student as a 2nd time, and then both scores in the system. You have those options, but it does allow you to do that within the system very, very easily. So ThinkUp content. The materials for writing are embedded just like they are based on the TEKS. So you are going to have for every single unit the revising and editing. So you'll have that brief passage that you'll be able to work from with the students. I'm going to minimize this and go for the side-by-side. Instruction open. Excuse me. So you'll see anytime there's an arrow on the sidebar, it's going to bring in the expansion of those items. And then whereas the reader tips and the print would be one large where all this content is together, we're sectioning it out so that as we're going through that instructional content, you are able to break it apart so that we can focus that instruction onto these strategies of what we're working with. Your unit assessments are going to be broken down. And if you need to have a bit of review, you can drag these size anywhere you want. But that revising and editing unit is going to be housed within the assessment section. And then you can expand and enlarge any of these windows, basically doing the single view to multi-view if you were going to do the modeled experience in the classroom or close out of that side. But this is great from lesson planning perspective. You can take a look at where are we in the unit, what do I want to assign, what do I want to model, and then you can plan that out. And when you do your assignments and release the work, you can plan for your full 6 or 9 week schedule that you're on and schedule out each of those units to be released and available to students based on the specific date and time frame that you're supposed to be there within your pacing guides. You're also able to convert any assignment into a timed assignment. The default is, it's open for as long as they need, but you can change it to where it's timed, select the window of time that you want them to have access to the content, and even give them a 2 or 3 or a 5-minute warning as to the assignments coming to an end. That's going to be great for when you assessment sections and you really want them to focus their work and complete it within a specific time frame. When you do release any assignment, the 4th step from instructions is where you can actually do a variety of things. You'll see here you've got lots of tools, and so you can go ahead and model and type out the step process or questions you want them to ask as they work through the content. You can give examples. You can also embed, this is where the multimedia piece comes in, where I can embed the video, audio file, bring in some graphic organizers, illustrations, links to specific sites that I want them to go to use as, you know, if maybe the assignment is a research assignment and they need to go and research a particular topic, you can embed the links to those safe pages that you want the students to go to source for that information. And then when it comes to
Stephen,
releasing it, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to touch on, it's right at 10:30 and I know some may need to jump off. So we are here till 11. We can continue the conversation for those that can stay. And then also there was a question around, can the grading in this platform be linked to Power Teacher Pro?
So all grading can be exported. So whatever file format that system needs, the CSV file is usually the number one way that they want it. So yes, it can be exported and then imported into those other tools. Now, set up direct feed back and forth, you know, that would be based off of the district's negotiation from the contract agreement they have for bringing in other third-party resources. We're 100% open to connecting to any system. It's a matter of whether they're open or willing to connect with us.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Because like you said, we're at the 10:30. I know we got a number of people who have to jump off for their next session.
No other questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So something else that you're able to do through when you release the assignment online is perhaps you're releasing it online so they know to complete it, but you want them to do the work in the print materials. And you want to save them from logging back in and entering in their scores. So you can generate a pre-slug scan sheet so that can be generated and handed out or emailed out to the students. They can then put their responses onto the scan sheet that you can then get back and scan up into this so that the reporting can be done. So it gives you a couple of different options when it comes to releasing the assignment. Close out of there, back to the home page. So one of the things that's also nice within the system is that with these different widgets, the breadcrumbs are left behind for you. So any page that you've recently visited will be stored here for you. So that way, if you were doing something and you navigated away from it and you want to go back and you kind of forgot where it was, it's going to be titled and listed back here to where you can then just click on it and launch straight into that section. The other thing to remember is as you've launched into new sections within the system, it also may have opened up and left a tab for you. So you can navigate back and forth very quickly through those tabs across the top of the screen or jump through the My Recents. You're also able to favorite any report. So if you wanted to generate a report for yourself, there are some prefabricated reports that I highlighted for you. I'm just going to bring this window back up here in the performance section. So you can go here and customize and create any type of report that you want. But we do have, as I mentioned, these out-of-the-box, ready-to-go reports. So this quick launch dashboard report would be one that's kind of formatted more for your campus coach and principal because it's going to have a lot of comparative demographic data. The one-touch reports that are in the student tracking are the ones that you're going to probably really like the most. I'm going to go ahead and launch those real quick here. So these one-touch reports basically open up and you have access to 3 different reports that are automatic, ready to go, linked to your ThinkUp content. If you've authored your own content, as long as you mapped it to the TEAC and grade level and content area, then it can report against it. So you'll see here, you'll have your item analysis report. So every single assignment will break down your students across the top, their overall score and percentage. Then per item, it'll look across the classroom and tell you what was what percentage of the students got it correct or incorrect. And then you'll see based on the response, what are correct or incorrect responses. And then from the item analysis, you can open up the actual item card. So with the assignment that they were looking at, it gives you the background information on the TEAC, level of difficulty. It'll associate the passage that was associated with it, the question, and then the correct responses. So you're able to use this real quickly to, without having to dig back through a stack of assignments to take a look at what was the response or what was the question. And when you have an instance where a large percentage of the students chose the incorrect response, then this gives you the ability to go in and source that content and help you plan for future instruction. The learning standards is that item analysis. So this is TEAC, by student, and then where they are in their mastery on the skills that you've introduced and taught so far. Great for planning and for cycling back through to previously taught skills that need to be revisited. And then you have your overall performance score. So keep in mind, this is going to be against anything that's ThinkUp related, but also against anything that you've curated into the system and assigned out to the students as well. So it gives you the delineation between that data. Great little simplified graphic organizers within here as well. You've got your student roster overall. It's going to break it down as to who's meeting, approaching, or exceeding the performance standards. Give it to you in a good visual representation here as well. And then you have a demographic breakdown opportunity to look at it in those ways as well. So these are the things that are right out of the box, ready to go day one when you do complete, excuse me, an assignment within the ThinkUp content online. And but you do have the ability to go in and choose from a report section in the performance area and grab reports for yourself and bring in different data points based on what's in the system. So just note that that's there as well, but we've also saved you time by providing some really good detailed reports that give you great data to help you as you plan and continue on with your instructional process. So as it relates to the online platform and ThinkUp itself is the mainstay of really what we're trying to address and share with you. What I would like to do is see if there are other questions or if there's other parts that we've shown that you would like me to go back to and highlight more. But that really does give you the essence of what the online is capable of doing for ThinkUp.
Thank you, Stephen. Currently, there are no questions in the chat. If anyone would like to remove themselves from mute, please go ahead.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, I will highlight one last feature that I kind of skipped over as we were going through the function, and that is the quick answer keys. So this is a tool that actually came in very handy with the COVID-19 experience, and for a lot of our customers who had to send home a lot of print packets of resources, hoping that students were going to be coming back in a week or two from the spring break timeframe, and then of course, as we know, could not, and then they didn't have the ability to really get an item level grading of assignments. But the system does allow you to generate quick answer keys. So here you've got create a quick answer key or find and edit an existing key. But what this will allow you to do is generate an online response form that students can log in. They can even log into these quick answer keys on a cell phone, on an iPhone or Android, and transfer their scores very simply. So you can generate this quick answer key to mirror whatever the response types are from that printed resource. So whether that's our ThinkUp materials, but we already generate those pre-select scan sheets and quick answer keys for those materials for you automatically when you release an assignment. But let's say you have a social studies assignment that was sent home with some students and it's going to be in print format because you didn't have a digital form of it, but you want the students to be able to score and grade it in the system. You can generate those quick answer keys here very quickly. You can just determine this is the classroom level, select your course of study, ELAR, make sure you title it, give a description. Description is optional, but just helps you find content when you're storing it and then sourcing it. And then what this will do is allow you to distribute your points and give a weighted value to each item that you're going to be working with. The number of question responses. So if the chapter review has 6 items in there, 2 of them are open-ended, then you can drop in so you got your question types. So essay, griddable, short answer, or open-ended. Those are going to be available, the number. And then you can add additional questions if you want to add beyond it. So it just allows you to customize and build in, and then of course drop in any specialized instructions or any additional multimedia resources to the answer key as a means of instructional support or parental communications can be done as well. So that's just another nice little additive feature there that can help you out with other content areas and curriculum available to you, and reminds that helps you and aids you in scoring and grading that content and reporting against it in the system, and then exporting it and uploading it into your true grading tool where your repository of scores are being housed. Training and support, That was a question that came up earlier that I did not fully address. So we have a variety of ways that we can help you out. So naturally in the system, we have the support section. We have authored numerous little brief videos that highlight all the different sections of the system, so that if you were confused about something, you could go in and watch a 3-minute or 2-minute or 4-minute video that walks you through the steps. We also have, and it's not in my demo site, and it's something that will be made live for back to school. There's a feature that's called Walk Me, like walking, so Walk Me. And when you click on it, it takes you through step by step any feature or function that you want to learn about and do, and it's live within the system. So that's another tool that helps to support you post-purchase and post-launch training. We do offer webinar trainings, so we can get scheduled in during PLC meetings after school, to where we have our customer engagement specialists do an orientation, and you log in into your account, and then they take you through the navigation and answers. So we can do that via distance learning. We also can come on site and do live trainings, and we can do those in the form of a half-day or full-day workshops. So whatever works best for you, you're able to take advantage of that. The customer engagement team does offer free webinar and phone call discussions throughout the year. So it's not a one and done situation. If at any time you want a refresher on something, you can coordinate through Heidi and Marcella, and then they can schedule you in with one of our specialists, who can then set up a call and be conducted, like I said, in a PLC meeting or in an after schools or before school setting as well. So there is lots of options that are available to you for implementation, support, and services. Any other questions, thoughts? Feel free to unmute and pose the questions verbally, or just type them in.
I also wanted to add, Stephen, I will include a link here to our app if anyone would like to try out the 2-week trial to our resource library app.
Excellent. Well, we are scheduled to be here till 11, so we will absolutely stay on the line for any other questions or thoughts, and to go deeper into any section of the platform or the content that any of you would like to see. But if there are no other questions or comments from the group, you are free to move on to your next session. But Heidi, Marcella, and myself will remain on the line until after 11, so we can make sure if you do have a question and you didn't want to do it to the larger group, you can feel free to pose that at that time.
Excuse me, I have a question. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
You mentioned about there would be some links available that we can go in and review or watch or see. Where are they going to be posted? Are they going to
Hi.
be posted? Hi.
Hello, this is Heidi. I did include links in the chat.
Okay, in the chat.
Yes, and I can also email you information directly if it's easier. I can compile everything shared and send it directly to attendees.
Oh, okay. I would like that. Can I give you, should I type in my email address and my name, or?
Yes, please. If you can do that, that would be great. Anyone that would like to type in your name and your email, and then you'll get an email from me by end of day today with all the information that we've shared.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please type your email address, because you can also get the link for the app, and that's a free resource that you can use for 2 weeks.
There is a question, if I purchase this product individually, will my students have access? That is correct. If you purchase the bundle, your students will have access to the book and the digital, or if you purchase the digital alone, your students would have access to that. You can purchase it individually. We do take credit card orders or purchase orders if your campus is able to purchase it for you. We've also received PTA checks as well, so we can work with you around different sources.
Yes. Just note that the same minimums apply with adding the online you're not able to purchase a single license, but you're buy them within the batch.
Yes, there's also a question about attendance and a survey. I'm not sure if that is something that the curriculum department is requiring you to do as far as how they are tracking attendance for the event. We like to track attendance as far as your participation. So if you can include your name and information there, that would be great. But as far as any conference surveys or additional pieces like that, you would have to talk to your department.
There was a question earlier about teachers being able to buy Mentoring Minds, and the answer to that question is no. You have to buy it through your school. So the school has to do the purchase, because we don't sell ThinkUp to teachers individually, but there's other items that you can buy as a teacher through us or through Amazon.
Let's see, I think there's new messages. No, it's emails.
Well, I do appreciate everybody's time and the questions that you've posed. I do hope that you see some value in the online and the tools that it does offer to enhance instruction and provide additional supports for parents and students that are going to be working on the content remotely. That's one of the biggest struggles that I've heard over the last several months. And when I say heard, not from teachers as much as from parents who are in the distance model, and they have their children who are in 5th grade, particularly, is where it seems to be the struggle point, and they don't know how to help them with their work as well, because some of the content has kind of gone beyond them. And the ability for the additional supports through video, audio files, the comments that teachers are able to add into the assignments has been a lifesaver for many of those individuals who really couldn't help support their own children with the content.
Okay, I'm done.
We have been in the process of sending emails to your campus administrators, so they are aware that we were going to be presenting during the curriculum conference, and they have information as well as a form that they can fill out if they have any questions, or also a quote request. So they do have that information. If you want to remind them to look in their inbox, they would be able to find it either through Heidi or through Marcela.
And there was a question in the chat wanting to know the name of the presenter. They missed the beginning part. Your presenter's name was Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-A-N, Rudolph, R-U-D-O-L-P-H, just like the red-nosed reindeer. Okay, and again, just as a reminder, we will stay on through 11 o'clock. I know it's 10:50 right now. So if you have questions, or if you haven't gotten your email into the system yet, so that you can receive any of the updates and the trials, please do so. The chat does remain after the call, and we'll get all those captured and then provide you with those links and information.